And
Okay.
then we will ask them, then um, I, we are now ready to start discussing the treasure hunt model. And we now have an example of the treasure hunt. That example involves medieval objects, but of course, the for instructional purposes, it would be changed to whatever is relevant for the instruction. And I'm now um, uh, opening the medieval scavenger hunt instructions, and it says the green items are still yet to be found. Actually, I just started a new hunt, so they're all green items. If you don't know what a word means, be sure to look it up. Yes, well, of course. Yeah, but it's a good idea to tell people that because I know a lot of people don't realize that you're on the internet and we're on the internet, and it would take us only a few seconds to go to Google and look it up and get all the information we might need on it. Okay, so I'm going to close that, and now, uh, well, Evie, would you like to comment further on this medieval hunt?
Sure. So this particular hunt was our first experiment of creating a library of more complicated scripts that region owners could then use on their own region. So, if you want to have any kind of treasure or scavenger hunt, you could use this script following very simple instructions to do the same thing on your very own region. And this is just the beginning. We also have other scripts that are even more educational that would also explain the item. So it just gives you an idea. So you can go around and look for the items. And if you were teaching this period of history, you could easily incorporate this as an interactive lesson to look around the region and discuss what they're seeing.
Mm-hmm. And with some target number to accumulate. Um, as it stands right now, you basically the only score you're keeping is how many items that you have collected, or perhaps which items you have collected, because of course, uh, you know the name of every collected item. Well, let's stroll over into the castle and see if we can identify anything.
Okay. Do you want me to show you where an item is, or so
Well,
you
no,
see how it works, or?
no, let's wait, and we, we see a whole bunch of objects, some houses, um, and we may want to look in those houses. We could look in those houses, and we could also look around to. Well, let's see. There's some objects right near here. Um, so let's look around here, and I think I see an object already. Uh,
Okay.
one of the hints that's available is that these objects have a sort of mist around them, and so that helps me know that that is probably an object that I'm looking at right now, and
Correct.
uh, and in order to actually what I have to do to register it is I have to click on it. Is that right?
Correct. So you would need to either click the escape button on your keyboard or your middle mouse button to regain your mouse.
And I've done that, and now I'm ready to click on it. And oh, that didn't work.
You might have to get a little bit closer, Selby.
Oh,
There is a, yeah, there's a, yep, it should say, congratulations, you found the item associated with the letter Q, because this is an A to Z alphabet scavenger hunt.
yes. This time I did get it.
And what went clatter crash?
Nothing of consequence.
And there it is. It's a quiver, which is something you carry your arrows in, I guess.
Correct.
And not that now in this case, most people will not be especially interested in teaching about quivers, But of course, that could be any word that is relevant to the instruction.
Correct. Every item that was included in this was taken from medieval lesson plans.
Hmm. And
Um,
for example, if I were learning about flowers, there are various parts of a flower that I would have to learn about. And as a matter of fact, um, if I knew a little bit in advance about flowers, I could easily find all of them um, quite easily because I'd know where to look. But if I didn't know where to look, I'd have to work at it, which is sort of the same kind of thing you normally experience in real life. If you don't know what you're doing, it's a lot harder.
Exactly. So this is a great place for people to explore, to learn new knowledge, as you've just described, but also for teachers to send students to solidify knowledge. So if if they've already learned what all of these items look like, that would certainly be a helpful to solidify what their meaning is.
Hmm.
And perhaps a lot of them, because we're in medieval times, actually a lot of them are weapons, and so that does kind of depict the lifestyle that they used
Yeah.
or that they lived.
Well, also, in now, in not these may not be so well placed, but if I know, besides that, I don't know much about medieval times, but I'm thinking if I know if I were I do know a little bit about flowers, so I do know that I could actually go to the particular place if had a giant flower. I could go to the particular place quite rather quickly to find each of the items that I'm supposed to find. Um,
Ex-
eh,
Exactly. Another idea that we have that we hope to be rolling out this year would be like the biology of a cell. So that would also be another example of how we could use this. Or we're doing a nature wildlife in the Grand Canyon. That's also on our plate for this year to help people see what they can create. So that those are regions that we are creating, but we invite teachers or anyone that has a specific area of interest to come in and help us, and we would love to give you the resources to do that.
and of course, this particular arrangement, if I were teaching it using this in a course, what I would have done, of course, is I would have given people the usual assignment in a textbook and perhaps a lecture about the flower and what the parts are, and um, I would have shown them all of that. So this then would a new version of this, a version of this that deals with flowers would um, actually be a way of causing them to review, which I like if I'm a teacher, because
Exactly.
because I really know that students are going to, if they refresh things in their memory a few times, they will remember them a lot better than if they just read them.
Especially with an interactive version, correct? Right.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to remember when you actually have to perform even a click on action as opposed to just reading or listening to a lecture.
Yes, well, because of course it is active, and
Right.
and
Wake up.
well, that means that students actually have to do something, as opposed to just look attentive, um, and, and I remember doing that, and I mean I remember looking attentive, being careful to look attentive,
Right.
so they wouldn't ask me questions.
Right. Exactly right. I remember that as well.
Yeah. So, okay, do we have anything else that we would like to add about how we would use this? We can imagine, essentially, this is mostly a nomenclature um, instruction kind of thing. It would be primarily for refreshing people's mind about about the various objects relevant to this particular instructional unit, and the people, or not maybe beyond a unit, up maybe the entire course, because this something like this, there's something like 26 objects, and I wouldn't have learned those in one week, or I would have probably taken me as students about 6 weeks at least to learn that, and I wouldn't expect them to learn it much quicker than that.
Well, what I would like to really say is that for this particular example of using the scavenger hunt script is great for lots of reasons. I mean, first, if just people coming in to experience a virtual world for the first time, and this is a virtual world in a browser, it gives them something interactive to do. But also, if you can use your imagination as owning your own land, that we can do our limitation is your imagination. So this script kind of gives us a parameter that we can hand a polished item to a region owner that they can do on their own. But if they have different ideas, we want to encourage them to come forward and say, this is what I want to do. And, we'll help you accomplish that feat. So whether it's for a social event or for an educational event, we're all about exploring what these virtual worlds can do, and in the browser, still a bit new. So if you get in now, it'll be a ground floor opportunity, and we welcome people to join us. It's a lot of fun.
And as a matter of fact, the script, if I understand it, I do understand scripts, though I don't understand JavaScript in particular. But I could probably just take that script. And if you showed me the script, you would actually be showing me the places where I have to make changes, and those would be something like a place in quotes. I'm guessing.
Exactly right. It's very easy to follow, and the instructions are provided.
And so all I would actually have to do is search for quotes, probably, and because then there might be some quotes that are not relevant, but I would easily be able to distinguish those. And I could search for quotes and change the word, because of course the word is simply ordinary simple text.
Right. It's a very clean script, actually. So we have instructions on 2 separate sections for this particular script that you fill in. There's just one little thing you have to learn about virtual worlds to complete it that I could show someone in 30 seconds or less. And the instructions are also in text, so you don't really need someone to show you. But if you have building rights on a region, it's very easy to figure out.
So therefore, people could immediately adopt this for use for essentially nomenclature as training on whatever subject matter they're dealing with, and every beginning introductory course will have a nomenclature section right at the beginning, because you have to know the names of the objects in order to talk about them.
Exactly right. And you could even break this down to, say, vocabulary words. If they're learning new words and those words are objects, you could literally put the objects around a region and have someone have to identify that is part of their vocabulary list. So there's many ways that you can use this particular script. It's all about finding, or, if you just want to go around and have someone find a bunch of diamonds, you could do that too.
Well, yeah, but if you were, for another example of use would be if for instruction in a foreign language. Because of course nomenclature and that is quite important in the instruction in a foreign language, and actually much of what you need to learn at the beginning is common nouns.
That's a great idea. Yes, to have your list to be in a foreign language and you have to identify what that is as an object. That's an excellent idea. Thank you.
Yeah. Well. Then that actually allows you to go back and forth in several different ways, because of course, if you're learning the language, then actually, obviously, you have to know something about what the object is. If I see the name of an object, and it is, for example, pen, I would need to recognize what it is and where it is likely to be found. Because I would now look for a desk because I'd expect a pen to be there. But if I didn't know that it was something that would fit on a desk, I would have a lot of trouble finding it.
Right. And in that case, you might want to do a smaller region that is more like just an office where you could put the words that all relate to an office space
Mm-hmm.
or a student space so that it's not quite this large. I believe I watched a Twitch stream of Ray, and it took them an hour or just over an hour to find all 26 items. Of course, there was a lot of fun involved as well.
Mm-hmm.
But so you might want to, as a teacher, if you're for that kind of intent, to make the region a bit smaller.
I would expect so, and of course you would make it whatever you can make it whatever size and whatever content you actually believe you need.
Exactly right.
And you would have multiple pages. If you were doing it for language, you would certainly have one page that's specifically for grocery stores, or maybe even one page that's specifically for produce. Where in fact you could you would be learning how to shop in a grocery store, which is one of the skills you might actually need if you go to live in a place using foreign language.
Indeed. Everyone has to eat.
Yes, right.
Yeah, and there's something else about this is that because of the variety of scripting that we can provide, you could actually take training from region to region. So even you're not stuck with just one space. You can make as many spaces as you need with an easy teleport option between them.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'm thinking that's certainly what you would want to do in the case of teaching a foreign language, because there's lots and lots of words that you need to learn, and demonstrate that you have learned, demonstrate at least to yourself that you have learned, and so
Right.
the advantage of would be you have all of those places available to you. With just a single teleport, which is not much, not really any more difficult than turning a page on a book.
That's right. It's just a click away. And also, I did want to mention I've had some teachers talk about virtual worlds in a browser and then some other classic worlds that require an application download. And for teachers that are doing lessons such as you're describing, what I like the most about the virtual worlds in the browser is the fact that you can do a lesson plan. So say you had 10 lessons of what you just described, maybe a grocery store, general store, etc. And you had those 10 lessons. They're very easy to keep available on the internet forever because the land is so much cheaper and platforms like ours, especially for educational reasons. Whereas on the application, I know a lot of teachers that will build up a region and then tear it down, build up a region and tear it down. And we believe in sharing that education. So especially if you're willing to share your lessons with other teachers, there's plenty of space to keep those lessons alive 24/7.
Well, actually, that would fit in with what the already existing paying teachers, because right now there are teachers. There's the teachers paying teachers provides lesson plans. Teachers who have prepared lesson plans sell their lesson plans to other teachers who need them presumably.
Correct.
And this could be actually the same thing. That is, anybody could create regions and sell them, right?
Correct. In fact, we even have the ability for you to have your own grid. So if you did have like a series of lesson plans that you wanted to have on your own location with your own grid, I don't want to get too far into that because that's another video, but you could literally have your own segmented community, which in virtual worlds is often called a grid, that you control.
Mm-hmm. Well, so it does seem that there's a lot of potential use for this particular concept. Do we have anything else would want to wind up with?
I don't have anything else unless anyone else has questions.
Nope. I'm just looking around. I see several of us standing around here. Okay, I'm going to close this video then. And
Thank you, Sylvie.